Welcome to the Daughter Arise channel. My name is Yvonne. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up if you like the content that I share. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be notified of any new uploads. You probably heard these sayings, just forget about it. Not this again. Just leave it. You should be over it by now. It's in the past. If you are a survivor who maybe tried to voice your experience to parents, family or friends, you probably heard these sayings too. I'll never forget in my early years of coming out of care at 17 years old, had my first flat, I was a single parent. My mum used to come and visit me every other weekend. There were times when I tried to voice to her that I would like to speak about the things that had happened to me in my childhood. But on every occasion, my mum just didn't want to know and didn't care to know. So what she would say to me is, cheer up. And I used to find that so highly annoying and so highly irritating. There were many years from that time where she would say, well, if your dad did this to you, why did you never confront him? This would be her way of dealing with me wanting to speak about my experience. So one day I did, and it's something that I wrote about in my book Daughter Arise, about that confrontation at 21 years old. And I did it, but it didn't change a thing. But when we met up a few weeks later to go shopping, I asked her the question before we even started that trip. And I said to her, now that I've done what you asked, now do you believe me? And my mum said, oh, Yvonne, just forget about it. And it was in that moment I knew that I would have to sever that relationship. What I was actually looking for is support from my mum. I had social workers in care that cared enough to listen to what I had to say, but I could never get that from her. My mum was not ever going to be at a place to listen to what I had to say because she had her own trauma from her own past that she hadn't dealt with. There are many reasons why she just wanted to forget about it. But my mum knew it was going on, and I found that out many years later. So the whole thing to me, why she wanted me to forget about it, why it wasn't addressed, made total sense. But the one thing that really helps a survivor that's gone through sexual abuse within the family or within the family circle is to have support of those loved ones that mean the most to them. It's something that they talk about in research in terms of recovery of a survivor. Not that you can ever forget, but just having that support system makes a huge, huge difference. They may be able to forget about it because they don't care to find out how it's affected you, but it is something that you live with. It's not something that you can just forget about. And to have people who minimalize your experience and don't have that empathy or understanding is extremely damaging. There are many reasons why as survivors we can't just forget about it. Not only do we have countless research and studies that show how sexual abuse in childhood impacts child development, we also know about the psychological effects and disorders that this traumatic experience leaves behind. Even if we wanted to just forget about it, it is never an easy process. For many of us, we have to go and get that extra support and help. And there are many others out here who have had this experience that are just not at a place of even dealing with it. Many survivors today still live with the reoccurring nightmare of what's happened to them day in, day out, and are not able to move on with their life. And others deal with it by burying it. But it's never as easy as just forget about it. I was continuously told that by different people. Just cheer up. You should be over it by now. People were annoyed at the fact that I was suffering still. It's only over time, through getting the support and help, through therapy, through having understanding people in my life, people that showed empathy and understanding and patience and just listening to me and just allowing me that time just to talk, things became better. But one of the things that many people are not prepared to do, even if they find it hard, is to go and get support and help to understand their loved one's experience. And I'm not saying this is every single survivor's experience. I'm talking to the survivors out there that are continuously told to keep quiet, just forget about it. There are many reasons why they want you to forget about it, but for some of them, it's too hard to hear. For some of them, they may be abused, and in hearing your story, it might be a trigger for them because they haven't dealt with their own abuse. For others, it can just be straight denial because the person or perpetrator, the person maybe you're trying to talk about, Maybe they know very well. They feel uncomfortable with your disclosure. Regardless of what anybody says to you, don't let anybody bully you into keeping quiet. If you have to be around them and they can't accept the fact that you feel like this, maybe you have to remove yourself from them, like I did with my mum. Only you know what's best for you. But one thing I do know, in being around people who continuously shut you down about your experience or belittle your experience and not treat it seriously, is that it does more damage to you than it does to them. You should never have to live your life on anybody's terms. I may have moved on from it and healed and recovered and be living life on my terms, but I will never forget what has happened to me. I've just been able to deal with it and move on from it. It's just something that has been coming up a lot, and I just wanted to share my thoughts on it. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I shall see you on the next video.